Welcome to the stage. I got three great experts up here with me today. I got Tim Bailey.
Wait, that's this one.
What do you think? Tim Bailey joins the stage. He's here.
I am here from Avid.
Tim is from Avid. It used to be called Avid Ratings, but
It's
you're
still
just Avid.
Ratings.
You're just
It's
Avid. You're
We'll
just
get short
Avid
form.
now.
Yeah, we get short form.
Because you do more than that.
That's right.
And you're here actually to talk about some of the other cool stuff that you're
correct.
now engaged in. And then we have a household name that you guys probably already spent way too much of your money, or your significant other has. We got Allie Rickert from Wayfair, and she's going to come and talk about how they are beginning to focus and look at the new home market and how to help builders speed up operations, have happier customers, make money in the long term. And then on top of that, we've got Bennett Hauser. And you're from Mine, and what a cool name. And I bet most of the people out here don't even know who Mine is, but I guarantee you by the time you're done with your talk, they're all going to know who you are, and they're all going to have meetings set up with you after this meeting.
I sure hope so.
Because Bennett is going to tell you how tomorrow you can make a decision to start making money on your homes after you've sold them. Not 10 years from now, not 5 years from now, not 15 years from now, not when you sell your business to somebody else, but you can start doing it tomorrow, and he's going to help you with that process. But we are going to start with a couple slides from you, I think, Tim.
Oh, are we kicking off with me?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
And the reason for that is, Avid for a long time has been known for their customer service, services, consulting, all of your ratings and review work that you've done for the industry, and you still do that, of course.
Yep.
But recently, you were motivated to kind of go beyond that. And I'd like you to first, before you get to slides, tell everybody, why did you decide to get into this? And what they've done is they've created kind of an app that would kind of live with the house post-close, which begins now to open up a tool. Think about it at this point. I think of it as just a toolbox.
Totally.
At this moment,
Yep.
that we still have to put a bunch of tools in.
For sure.
But it's a toolbox that you could start to give residents that then would enable us to start to potentially put insurance things in there and put local services and different kind of consumable items such as filters and a differentiated new home experience. So first, tell them how you got into this.
Yeah, for sure. And I do have some slides, but let's go off the cuff
We'll
instead.
get to those.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. A lot of it came from the fact that, like you're just talking about, that really resonated when I was standing over at the side. We have this really unique opportunity as an industry. I've been in the industry since I was 15. My dad was a site super. I could never get out. So, you get locked into the industry, but we also get locked into our mindset in the industry, I find as well. And at Avid, we see so much customer experience data that really was pointing to some pain points and drops in customer satisfaction, which I'll go into a little bit. Post-closing especially, we're like, there's got to be a solution. There's got to be something that not only solves it for the consumer, but monetizes it for the builder.
Perfect.
Creates that revenue stream. So that's what we went at. We call it Home Keep, so I can...
Show us your slides.
Go some slides. All right, let's roll.
Let's
roll. Let's see how it goes. Well, and I thought a good spot to kick off, since we do have all this CX data in our system, customer experience data in our system. When I saw the topic of lifetime value, I thought, well, let's look at value in general. We know there's been some headwinds when it comes to customer satisfaction in home building, not just our industry, across the board. The American Customer Satisfaction Index has been dropping. But this idea of perceived value from homeowners has definitely been falling off as well. So I put up a slide here. The overall value of the home for the price paid, that perceived value has dropped. If we look at it just even a year-over-year snapshot, the value for price paid when it comes to options and upgrades also has dropped off on a year-over-year. So I think a good starting point in this sort of value discussion is just taking a step back to see how can we fix that?
Well, you think about, what Eric Delansky talked about this morning about value, right? How much more valuable is a home that has an app that tells me how to run it, maintain it, and gives me alerts on every single thing that I need to do versus, especially think about Gen Zs and millennials that they didn't build ham radios in the basement with their father. They didn't drywall the basement, right? They haven't picked up a tool in their whole life. They don't even know that tools exist, right? They only know that you can get an emoji of tools, which is pretty cool. But emoji as the tools isn't going to drywall their basement, right? But think about that you have an operating system that comes with the home that helps you maintain that home. How much more valuable is a home that has that than a home that you have no idea who maintained it, what got done on it? It doesn't tell you what you need to do. right?
Yeah, yeah.
It
And even
should
just
be huge.
Yeah, and even just from the fact of data, we're talking about data assets too in home building. How can we create more data assets that we can monetize as well? Well, we don't stick around long enough as an industry to find out what's going on in that home, right? So I think that's a unique experience as well that we can start to gel out and build out a little bit further.
Well, that actually could get into some of the stuff that Ken Pinto was talking
yeah.
about. What if you figured out that you could tell what trades actually cause the long-term problems in the home, or what vendors cause long-term problems in the home? Right? You would have that data as well.
100%, yeah. So, and I think part of it too, like when I look at this slide on screen, we coach builders. We still do the surveying, the ratings, the reviews, the consulting. We coach builders throughout North America on this fact that the value equation is benefit over price, and the easiest thing it seems like the easiest thing to change is the denominator. Let's drop our price, right? Well, I think let's commoditize our industry even further. I'd like to see, let's focus on the benefit, the numerator. How can we beef that up more? How can we dig deeper on that end of it? And a lot of the benefit to me comes from creating relationships versus transactionships. It's not how our industry has ever really operated. We've been, next shovel in the ground is our profit, not the lingering relationship. But I think if we can start really digging in and focusing on how do we create longer term relationships with each homeowner, that it can create some really unique opportunities for us as an industry. So, and even just the concept of lifetime value by its nature is, how much profit can we generate from that relationship between a customer and the company? Mm-hmm. So that alone speaks to, again, this idea of tenure with that homeowner. So it's been an interesting journey, and again, we've done it with a lot of the background data we've had. So I will flip to the, did I go? And this is probably where it stemmed from. So again, not to get too data-driven here, because I want to showcase a little bit of the solution as well. But this is what really popped the idea in our brains is like, if you look at the customer journey, and this is a customer that's going from being, I guess a shopper to a buyer to a shopper to a prospect to a buyer to an owner.
What's interesting is that chart looks almost exactly like the chart that Melissa showed earlier. Did you?
I didn't see that one. No.
She had a chart on the customer journey that showed how the psychology goes up and down and up.
Oh,
and down.
I've got that. I've used that in another boardroom session.
But it's almost exactly the same
so
thing.
Is. Yeah, and we always hope. I was a VP of operations for a builder a lifetime ago before I joined Avid, and we always hope that the back end, kind of the ass end of the process, finishes better. You want referring advocates at the end, but that's not what we see in the data. We see there's usually almost an 11-point drop off after move-in in customer satisfaction. But I look at it like there's a bit of an abandonment phase that happens. It's that journey with the customer is pretty intense. It's like a relationship. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're asking them to do a lot of stuff and sign a lot of contracts and pick a lot of colors and do this walkthrough, that walkthrough, and at the end of the day, then all of a sudden they get the keys and we walk away.
So we need to become more stalker girlfriend like.
100%.
Okay.
We have to definitely. We got to get much creepier.
Work on your stalker girlfriend, a little bit.
We're gonna get much creepier as an industry. But that idea of like, so what can we do to mitigate that? And so that's what when we looked at this, it was like, okay, we've often looked at what next product can we bring to market at Avid, or what next solution, and we thought, as much as we'd like to find something at the front end, because that's sexy, what could drive more sales up front, there's lots of people in that space. What can we do for longevity with that customer, that lifetime relationship at the back end of the process here? So that's what we dug into. And then mirrored with that, this is what we're seeing, again, in our data, like the graph showed, the customer experience tends to be most negative post-possession. As an industry, we don't show that slide to any builder that doesn't get a nod. Most of the builders say, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it drops off, yep, and we are doing our 30-day and our 1 year, and then we're out of there.
Well, the problem is we kind of structure the relationship that the only reason they would communicate is if there's a problem.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Do we really reach out and say, "Hey, give me a shout out of how happy you are with with that beautiful kitchen you have"? No. We don't really do that.
No, and I've literally talked to a production builder that would give gift cards if the homeowners didn't call them.
Yeah.
Right? It seemed like such a backwards mindset.
It's an interesting issue because we had a time I was working with a bunch of technology integrators in the home building space, and we were talking about what could you do. And one of the ideas was just brilliant, was to have recent home buyers hold an open house in their home where the builder pays for it and they invite their friends. But it creates a moment of pride post ownership and occupancy, right? Because their friends are coming in. They're not going to sit there and go, I hate this house, I don't like anything. It's going to be about them boasting about their home. And it gives you, how likely are these people, their friends, to be your next likely client? Of course. And you can get the trades, as a builder, you can get the trades to pay for it, especially the integrators, because the integrators have lots of business to do for other people. They'll see automation and go, oh, come to my old house, I need you to do that automation in my old house. But it's an opportunity to kind of script that message and turn it positive. And we as an industry don't manage that message post-ownership. So I think that's another interesting.
For sure, we've always been designed as the next shovel in the ground is the profit.
Yeah,
right?
we'll
Move on, turn them and forget them. And so, and also, at the end, we've talked about it, in the write-up for this as well. We're delivering the biggest asset of most people's lives. This is a big fixed asset that we're delivering, and we're often delivering it to them. And these homes are better performing than ever before. They're more complex than ever before, and we leave them with, little knowledge on how to actually manage and maintain that home and how to operate it and keep it at optimum performance levels. So with that, we did launch this, and not to get all salesy, we launched this technology called HomeKeep. Mm-hmm. And we're like, let's solve for this a little bit. Let's create a little bit more ease in that ownership experience. And also let's give the builders a long-term relationship that they can stand behind this product even longer and monetize.
And you and I have talked, this is early.
This is early, for sure.
So it's a toolbox. It's like you've created this framework that we need as an industry to start to think, well, how do we now kind of put some meat on those bones?
Yes, how do we fill that box, right? And it's like home building as a special tool for, the right tool for every project here. So, with HomeKeep, what we've built out is a digital application. It's really tech-enabled home maintenance, subscription, and services. We live in a subscription-based economy. I don't own my own music. I don't own my own TV shows anymore. Everything's subscription-based. So why can't a builder monetize a subscription-based service like HomeKeep or application like HomeKeep? It allows the homeowners to catalog their homes, to go through and itemize what's in that home, all the documentation that supports that as well. Now to manage and maintain that home, here's what should be done, here's the why, here's the how. We also loaded up with educational resources as well, so videos in there. I mean, a lot of homeowners will go to YouTube, but what credibility do you get from that maintenance person that's doing that? I've seen some pretty sketchy ones out there. And then supporting the homeowner, it comes with a concierge service human as well that we provide on demand, on live chat as well. And then the nice part about it that I think is really going to be cool is this idea of it's record keeping too. So now they've maintained their home, they're following, ticking the boxes, everything else. Well, we don't have Carfax in home building yet. We got to get there. We got to get there at some point. So that record, that maintenance is now being tracked as well. When we started doing this, we found there was well over 100 annual tasks that we should be doing on our new home. How many of us do it? I coached homeowners at pre-delivery inspections in my last life, and this is what you need to do. Here's the documentation, here's the thumb drive, whatever it might be.
And it's gone.
It never gets done. I don't do it in my own house. Yeah. So, I'm guilty of it as well. And this is things like basic stuff, changing furnace filters, changing water filters, the list goes on and on.
Flushing your water heater.
Right, yes. Cleaning your brine tank on a softener, things like that doesn't happen. Just doesn't get done. So that's what we itemized all this out in HomeKeep in the app. Again, we've digitized it. It's taking us from, again, I was guilty of the binders and the drawer thing back when I was building past life, and we did get to flash drives. We got pretty sophisticated. Here's a USB stick.
The nice part, it's smaller, so it's easier to lose.
Oh, totally, right? Yeah, nobody will ever find it.
Or I can write over it.
It'd be with the Disney photos that are lost somewhere too on a thumb drive, right? Yeah. So we, it's a digital solution now. It takes us into this sort of the new millennium, hopefully. Then they can load it up, things like paint. How nice would it be if you knew what paint color, hardwood color. I had to replace the cartridge on my Moen kitchen faucet. Well, if I could have gone in and found the model and serial number, how much quicker could I go online and grab that replacement part? And then the idea of managing these things as well. We can actually then register the products with the manufacturer. So that way, if there's a recall or a warranty issue, they get notifications from that as well. So even at a broader ecosystem, the idea that now the manufacturers know where their products are. That gets pretty impressive too. There's some pretty interesting appeal again with the data asset piece of HomeKeep. The other thing we do with it as well, which is critical today, it's personalized to every home. So because we now know what's in that home, you can personalize that experience for the homeowner. You can't, today's consumers are now prosumers, they call them. They're not consumers. They want personalization. They crave that. So we can serve up, here's what the tasks are on your home. Here's when they should be done. Here's how to do them. Here's why they should be done. So it takes it to that next level. And if they don't want to do it themselves, we can offer in-app scheduling and get a specialist out to do it for them as well. So I think that's kind of a nice feature. We're working on the next phase of HomeKeep as well, which would actually be consumables delivery. Because there are some, I'm handy. I can do my own work. Some people don't want to invest the time, but I tend to like fiddling around. But I'm also used to this delivery-based economy that we live in. I want that stuff on my front porch when it's time to do it. So if I can in-app schedule and say, okay, I need this furnace filter, here's what HomeKeep says I need for this house. I'm going to do my spring maintenance appointment. Click, it's on my porch. So that's the next sort of stage that we're heading towards with HomeKeep. And I just wanted to show some examples of what we've been finding in the field so far. How old? These are some before and afters. Like, how old do you think these?
12 months.
Yes. There's in a picture up here from a home that's over 5 years old. Right? My home would be guilty of probably similar photos, right? So this is the need that's out there with the before and afters. We're seeing home maintenance just isn't being done. Who are the experts? Builders. Our industry are the experts on it. We could be doing this and monetizing this, more importantly. So we see that, again, homeowners need help. 60% of homeowners don't do regular home maintenance. We're finding it's probably way higher than that. 42% of millennials feel embarrassed by their lack of home maintenance knowledge. Well, if you sit through any Zonda, any NHB, any sort of webinar about where we should be focusing a lot of our future opportunity, it's a big cohort. The millennials and the Gen Zs behind them is a huge cohort coming through the pipeline. And if they're not keen on maintaining a home, there's an opportunity there. So added to that, it's not easy maintaining a home, and it gets expensive.
Yeah, I have a study. This is one of the single largest disappointment for millennials buying a home is the unexpected amount of maintenance. They just had no idea that you'd actually have to
do something,
kind of work on your house. And the problem is then they find that they don't know what to do, and there's not a good source of understanding what to do. Then they feel guilty, and it doesn't end up
easier to avoid it.
Yeah.
Just easier to turn the page, and I think on the idea affordability, especially in the headwinds we're facing, is with the economy and everything right now. I think anything we can do to make it easier, to make it more affordable to maintain the home, and make sure it gets done. Again, it's a big asset, so if it can be optimized to be performing well, to be lasting longer, because it shortens the lifespan of furnaces, all these mechanicals, if they're not being maintained as well. So it's, and again, it's not new. I hate, because I've been from the industry for too long, I hate bringing auto up in a room of builders. But when you sell, a dealership that sells a new car, the profit they make on that new car versus the profit they make on maintenance plans they sell, parts and service and everything else, I think it's roughly, depends on the study, but roughly 25% of people driving a new car have some sort of a maintenance plan on that car. And about 60% of those people will still keep going back to the dealership after the maintenance plan's done, right? So it creates loyalty, it creates advocacy, it gives an opportunity for repeat buyers, referral buyers, and most importantly, a monetization of a stream that we're not really touching as an industry. So that's a bit of my soapbox, I guess, but I'm pretty passionate about this industry.
Well, that's awesome.
There's a huge lifetime value opportunity here.
I think the issue is we've created a toolbox that now we've got to figure out how do we kind of start to put some of the tools in the box to generate revenue.
Right.